A rover exploring the far side of the moon has transmitted an image of something baffling, an object that defies expectations. It wasn't a crater or a rocky formation we've documented before, but a shape so distinct, so geometric, that scientists paused everything to examine it closely. Look at this, an angular, shadowy structure rising from the lunar surface. For generations, astronomers have scrutinized the moon, charting every major crater and surface detail. We thought we knew what belonged there, but this was different. For the first time, we saw something on the lunar horizon that seemed unnatural. Back in late 2021, when China's U-2 rover captured this strange form, global attention instantly zeroed in. Its cube-like geometry was so precise that researchers humorously nicknamed it the Mystery Hut. Because really, how else could one explain a cube-shaped object standing isolated on the most barren surface in our cosmic neighborhood? And what unfolded as the rover moved closer forced scientists to ask one of humanity's most profound questions: are we truly alone? What it revealed shook our assumptions about the moon. At the start, when U-2's cameras snapped the formation on Lunar Day 36, it appeared around 80 meters away. That may not sound like a long distance, but for a rover crawling slower than a human's walking speed, it was enormous. And this wasn't like any natural feature we've studied before. The formation presented sharp corners, straight edges, and a flat top cutting across the curved skyline like something deliberately placed there. Typically, lunar rocks are weathered round over billions of years by relentless micrometeorite strikes. Yet this structure looked different, angular, intentional, and almost new. What makes it so unsettling is where it was located. The far side of the moon is among the most untouched landscapes in our solar system. No atmosphere to erode rock, no water to carve smooth surfaces. It has been bombarded for 4.5 billion years, creating chaotic debris and circular craters. So when a geometric form appeared, it raised astonishing implications. Could this be the first non-random shape on the hidden side of the moon? China's space agency didn't dismiss the anomaly. Within days, they rerouted U-2, sacrificing months of planned exploration. Consider the dilemma. You're navigating an endless desert of dust, boulders, and craters, when suddenly, a cube-shaped structure stands before you. Wouldn't you stop and investigate? That was exactly the decision Mission Control faced, except the consequences were monumental. The rover had already exceeded its expected 3-month lifespan by far. Each movement put the fragile machine at risk of mechanical failure. But the mysterious object was too fascinating to pass. And here was the big question keeping them awake: if it really were nothing more than a rock, why take such extraordinary risks just to study it? The answer revealed only how little we truly understand about the moon's enigmatic far side. As soon as the image was made public, speculation erupted online. On social media, comparisons ran wild. Many said it resembled earthly landmarks, even likening it to Paris's Arc de Triomphe. Others joked it looked like a low-resolution video game block. Humor aside, the public couldn't shake the feeling that what they were seeing mattered. On China's Weibo platform, theories exploded: alien shelters, secret moon bases. Even time travelers were thrown into the discussion. China's official blog, Our Space, made light of it, suggesting it could be a hut built by extraterrestrial pioneers. Yet what separated this moment from ordinary internet conspiracies was the scientific scrutiny it attracted. Experts noted that its unusually geometric structure was so remarkable that even advanced AI systems designed to scan vast space imagery for anomalies would classify it as artificial-looking. After all, modern space agencies already rely on machine learning to flag suspicious patterns or unnatural geometry. This object could have triggered every alert. What happens when not only human eyes, but intelligent algorithms detect what shouldn't exist? As the conversation spread globally, prominent astronomers acknowledged they had never seen anything resembling this angular, isolated object before. Its stark solitude on the lunar surface made it even stranger, sparking the biggest wave of curiosity about the moon in years. It wasn't within a debris scatter or crater ejecta pattern. It stood by itself, stark against the bowed horizon. That's when it stopped being merely a rock at a distance. It became a trial. How do we separate illusion from reality when the whole planet is watching? How do we uphold scientific skepticism while examining something that appears to defy what we expect in space? If you're drawn to discoveries like this, hit subscribe right now, because what follows is even stranger. The inquiry that unfolded would take months of meticulous planning, and it would also uncover something about human nature, pattern recognition, and the cosmic stories we tell, deeper than any single lunar stone. Amplifying the mystery, the Chinese rover team assigned the object an official label that sent a shiver through anyone versed in lunar lore. In Chinese characters, they called it the Mystery Hut. But here's where the tale takes an almost uncanny turn. In Chinese folklore, the moon has long been the realm of the jade rabbit. For over a millennium, stories speak of a rabbit visible in the moon's shadows and craters, companion to Chang'e, the moon goddess, endlessly preparing the elixir of immortality. And in 2021, China's rover named U2, literally Jade Rabbit, spotted what seemed like a structure on the far side. Was it coincidence or destiny that the rover found something shelter-like on the very world where legend places a rabbit's home? The coincidence grew even eerier given the site. Von Karman crater lies inside the South Pole, Aitken Basin, the oldest and deepest impact scar on the moon. This basin is so ancient some scientists think it punched through the crust, exposing interior material hidden for billions of years. If you were going to find something unexpected on the moon, this is exactly where you'd look. The deepest, oldest, most enigmatic tract of the lunar surface. Consider this. For thousands of years, people have spun tales about odd shapes on the moon, the man in the moon, the rabbit in the moon. And now, in the 21st century, our robot encounters something on the far side that feels pulled straight from myth. What are the chances? As U2 prepared for its months-long trek toward the Mystery Hut, controllers faced an unprecedented moment. They were about to probe what could be humanity's first potential sighting of an artificial structure beyond Earth. The rover would have to cross crater fields, survive the 2-week lunar night, and operate at the very edge of its design life. Because once it finally drew near, what found wasn't just odd, it felt strangely familiar. The close approach began in December 2021, and each day ratcheted up the tension. U2 crawls at a glacial pace, about 200 meters per lunar day, when everything is ideal. But the far side is anything but ideal. It's strewn with loose stones, hidden fissures, and crater slopes that could trap or doom the rover with a single mistake. The team had to chart every meter. They couldn't simply drive straight at the Mystery Hut. The rover needed to snake around hazards, halt during blistering lunar midday to avoid overheating, then hibernate for 2 weeks during each brutal lunar night, when temperatures plunged to minus 173 degrees Celsius. Yet day by day, as U2 edged closer, the target sharpened, more tangible, harder to dismiss. The geometry held, even at 50 meters, then 30 meters. The straight lines and crisp corners persisted. A form that shouldn't exist on the moon still waited there. This was no longer a quirk of distance or pixelation. It demanded an explanation. Meanwhile, space agencies across the globe were paying attention. Because here's what most people don't know. There are playbooks for precisely this situation. International space law outlines procedures for discoveries suggesting non-terrestrial intelligence or artificial constructs. The 1967 Outer Space Treaty calls for prompt notification to the United Nations and all spacefaring nations. But what if a government wanted time to examine it first? What if they needed to understand their find before triggering a worldwide upheaval? Would the world hear at once? Or would images be quietly managed while officials assess the situation? China's space agency posted regular updates via the Our Space blog. Yet the images stayed maddeningly low-res, clear enough to fuel intrigue, not clear enough to resolve it. Was that openness or careful curation? By early January 2022, U2 had moved close enough to engage its high-resolution imagers. The decisive moment had arrived. After months of conjecture, scientific discussion, and global fixation, humanity was about to see the Mystery Hut plainly. Okay, hold on. What do you think the rover uncovered? Drop your guess in the comments before the reveal. Was it a structure, a device, or just light playing tricks? The anticipation was excruciating for space fans. Newsrooms drafted headlines for every outcome. Researchers braced for paradigm-rattling findings. Conspiracy circles felt vindicated. Skeptics readied an "I told you so." And when U-2 finally reached the horizon, the reveal stunned everyone, but not for the reason you'd think. On January 7th, 2022, the high-resolution shots arrived at last. What U-2 found on that crater rim wasn't a building, wasn't a machine, and wasn't proof of alien industry. It was a rock, a small, weathered, entirely ordinary lunar rock. And yet this is where the story turns extraordinary. The stone was shaped like a crouched rabbit, complete with what looked like long ears, a rounded torso, and even tiny stones in front that resembled carrots. The likeness was so striking it bordered on eerie. The team promptly dubbed it the Jade Rabbit Rock. Consider the cosmic irony. The Jade Rabbit Rover, named for the mythical hare said to dwell on the moon, spent months chasing a mysterious silhouette. And what did it find? A rabbit-shaped rock perched on the regolith as if it had waited there for eons. Not an alien hut, but something even more human, a legend made tangible. For over 1,000 years, Chinese tradition placed a rabbit on the moon. And now, in the modern era, their robotic explorer found one not living, but carved by time, like the universe itself was playing an elaborate joke on our expectations. The illusion that misled the world was a masterclass in perspective and light. From 80 meters away, the rabbit's rounded back looked angular and boxy. Harsh lunar lighting cast sharp shadows that mimicked straight edges, with no atmospheric haze to cue depth. A small nearby stone masqueraded as a distant monument. Scientists call this pareidolia, our brain's tendency to perceive familiar shapes where none truly exist. Yet sometimes, pareidolia hints at deeper truths. Sometimes the patterns we think we see really are present, just not in the way we imagined. The mystery hut blew up online all over again. Social feeds filled with jokes about a dejected alien who built a cube only to have it labeled rabbit-shaped. Yet beneath the comedy was something deeper. Humanity's first robotic probe of a seemingly artificial structure ended in pure poetry. But here's the twist. This wasn't the only time U-2 encountered something that seemed impossible. Other surprises from U-2 while the world fixated on the mystery hut. U-2 was quietly logging findings that were truly groundbreaking. Each was stranger than the previous. Each upended our assumptions about the moon's hidden hemisphere. In mid-2019, the rover noticed something that made the hut look mundane by comparison. At the floor of a small crater, U-2 found a dark, glossy material Chinese reports described as gel-like. Its unusual hue and reflectivity stood out starkly from the familiar gray regolith. Spectrometer readings showed it was impact glass, rocks melted into a dark vitreous mass by the immense heat of a meteor strike. In essence, U-2 had identified a patch of lunar ground literally liquefied and remade by cosmic violence. That gel was a window into the moon's bombardment history, preserved like geological amber. Then came the puzzling splinters, long, jagged fragments knifing up from the soil at improbable angles. These weren't the typical rounded stones, smoothed by eons of micrometeorite pitting. They were sharp, angular shards that looked like shrapnel from a celestial blast. Mission scientists think they're distant ejecta, pieces of lunar crust hurled hundreds of kilometers and planted in Von Karman crater like frozen lightning. Perhaps most consequential are pieces that may come from the lunar mantle itself. Von Karman sits within the South Pole Aitken Basin, the deepest scar on the moon. The impact that forged this basin was so extreme it may have punched through the crust, exposing interior layers unseen for 4.5 billion years. U-2 spectrometers detected minerals such as olivine and low-calcium pyroxene, chemical fingerprints of mantle rock. If verified, these fragments offer a direct glimpse into the moon's internal makeup. It's like finding bits of the moon's core essence scattered across its skin. More recently, the rover spotted clear glass globules strewn across the terrain. Not tiny beads, but spheres up to 4 centimeters wide, clear as marbles, resting on the surface as if someone spilled a pouch of oversized glass balls. They formed when impacts melted lunar rock into droplets that cooled into perfect spheres while arcing through vacuum. People often ask, why care about odd rocks on the moon? Here's why. Each is a time capsule, a shard, a bead, a lump of glass. These are messages from deep time, written in stone, and we're only beginning to decipher them. Any one of these finds could reshape our picture of the moon's violent past. The mystery hut may have been a mirage, but these discoveries are entirely real, proving that the most astonishing secrets often sit in plain view, waiting for the right robot to stumble upon them in the cosmic wild. The bigger picture. The Mystery Hut now sits alongside space exploration's classic optical illusions, and the pattern exposes something unsettling about human perception at the frontier. In 1969, Apollo 10 astronauts captured an image that looked like a towering castle on the moon. The photo showed a multi-story, architected edifice rising from a crater rim. For years, conspiracists touted it as evidence of lunar installations. Only when later missions returned sharper images did the castle resolve into a small boulder casting dramatic shadows. Then came the Viking missions to Mars in 1976. Here is your rewritten, plagiarism-free version, keeping the same meaning and length. Orbital imagers recorded what looked like an enormous humanoid face etched into the Martian terrain, complete with eyes, a nose, and a mouth seeming to stare back at Earth across millions of miles. The face on Mars became the most famous case of pareidolia in the history of space exploration. It took decades and multiple high-resolution passes to definitively show it was just a mesa shaped by unusual erosion. Even the Soviet Luna program fed into this pattern. Several Luna probe photos from the 1970s displayed geometric outlines and angular features that appeared suspiciously artificial. Soviet researchers quietly examined these curiosities for years before concluding they were natural rock forms exaggerated by stark lighting. The through line is constant. Our minds leap to the extraordinary. We detect patterns implying intelligence, intention, design. Sometimes it's because we deeply want proof we're not alone. Sometimes it's because sharp geometry feels alien next to the organic, chaotic look of natural landscapes. But here's what keeps space scientists up at night. Whenever we've chased these anomalies down, they've proven to be illusions every single time. The question that haunts exploration is this: what if someday it isn't? What if the next geometric silhouette on a distant world survives scrutiny? What if the next impossible structure truly defies natural explanations? After decades of false alarms, how would we even recognize a genuine artificial build? The U-2 Mystery Hut captures this dilemma perfectly. China's team handled it with the right blend of rigorous skepticism and real curiosity. They suspected a rock, but they needed certainty, because missing humanity's first encounter with non-terrestrial intelligence would be an immeasurable loss. The case also underscored the limits of robotic fieldwork. U-2 spent months crawling 80 meters to resolve a basic optical illusion. Now imagine tackling more complex anomalies across Mars, Europa, or Titan using machines that trundle slower than a strolling human. Here's the real takeaway. Robots can only carry us so far. To truly know what's out there, people will have to go back. The structure that shouldn't exist turned out to be a rabbit-shaped rock. Yet the inquiry yielded something even more valuable than alien artifacts, proof that only exploration can separate mystery from myth. Consider what this one false alarm taught us. We learned the human brain will impose artificial patterns even on barren vistas. We learned viral online speculation can nudge real scientific investigations. We learned international space agencies will spend months and risk costly assets to answer questions that seize the global imagination. Most importantly, we learned the universe has a sense of humor. The cosmic punchline of the Jade Rabbit rover finding a rock shaped like a rabbit feels too perfect to be chance. It's as if the moon itself tested whether we're ready for deeper enigmas by first offering a gentle illusion wrapped in folklore. But as NASA's Artemis program gears up to return astronauts to the lunar surface, the stakes are about to shift dramatically. Crews can examine anomalies in hours that would take rovers months to approach. They can deliver instant analysis, real-time judgment, and a flexible intelligence no robot can match. The moon's far side still holds thousands of untouched craters, exotic formations, and yes, likely more optical tricks that will fool our pattern-hungry minds. Yet somewhere in that vast field of ancient scars and hidden valleys, something might truly not belong. U-2 remains operational, still inching across Von Karman crater, still transmitting images that make scientists pause and squint. The rover has surpassed all expectations, becoming the longest-lived surface mission in lunar history. Each additional day boosts the odds of finding something genuinely extraordinary. And as Artemis astronauts prepare to tread the moon again, picture this. What if the next silhouette on the horizon isn't a quirk of light? What if the next geometric form keeps its shape under close inspection? What if the next impossible structure really is a construction that shouldn't exist? The mystery hut reminded us to greet such sightings with rigorous skepticism. It also reminded us never to stop looking, because somewhere on a distant world, or tucked in a hidden lunar valley, there may await the discovery that changes everything. The rabbit-shaped rock rests quietly on its crater rim, likely for billions more years, a cosmic tribute to human curiosity, robotic endurance, and the delightful unpredictability of exploration. If you don't want to miss the moment we uncover something that truly rewrites the rulebook, hit subscribe, because the next discovery could finally answer the question we've asked since we first looked up at the stars. Are we truly alone,